myself and Phyllis, yeah. Phyllis, Phyllis, we arrived a little bit late because there was an accident, and I was saying, yeah, and then I said, try to practice mindfulness of chanting Om Mani Padme Hum. So Stan was saying, well, what would be the purpose of saying Om Mani Padme Hum? And I said, well, one of the purposes is, when we're driving along and we're going to work, we're busy with our own schedule. I mean, we might still be busy going to benefit others, hopefully we are. But, my thought was like, oh, it's an accident. And then it's like, oh, but then we can also use that as an opportunity to activate our compassion because somebody's suffered. I mean, in the Buddhist tradition, we're suffering all the time. And the more we meditate, the more we come in touch with our own suffering, our own disturbed states of mind. But of course, in that moment, somebody's really suffering, suffering more, So, we can use opportunities like that when we see like an animal's died on the road or, there's been an accident or, even when you see homeless people, what I try to do is chant some Om Mani Padme Hum because it reminds me to feel compassion towards them. I feel like mantra just kind of, for me, it just immediately transforms my mind into something else, So I'm going to talk about that a little bit more, as I say, either during this class or next week, the power of mantra, because it was in the class description, also touching on how mantra can benefit us as well, So, but this morning, so that's just a little bit talking about it, but because we can't sit down and, okay, I'm going to meditate, we're in the car, I need to meditate in compassion now, but we can chant some mantra, and energetically, we are opening up to that person. The whole thing is about us opening up to others. First of all, we need to open up quite deeply to ourselves because there's many ways we were blocked ourselves. That's why we're in meditation now. That's why we're in class. That's why we come to spiritual classes in Buddhism, and we can feel our blocks and our walls. So we need to release them, but others help us to release them. Instead of being feeling like they're blocking my stuff, they're blocking me, situations can help us to open up, So for me, that's a situation where it reminds me to, instead of just thinking, I need to get to work and do, chant Om Mani Padme Hum. And it just, I think, for me, it just lightens my mind right away, And it reminds me to think about the other beings who are suffering in that moment right now.
Could you say
Phyllis?
that mantra slowly?
Om Mani Padme Hum. But we can, we'll do that mantra next week, since it's coming up.
Why did different groups use different mantras?
So the question, did you hear the question online? And then we'll go into meditation. Robbie, you did, you? Why do different groups use different mantras? We use different mantras too. We have many mantras. So not to get overwhelmed, you start with if you feel that mantra sort of benefits you, resonates with you, then you start with one or two and you just get a feeling of that, But we have, because different mantras basically energize, activate different qualities in our mind. Om Mani Padme Hum is called the mantra for happiness or the mantra for loving kindness, compassion, There's a mantra Om Vajrasattva Hum that's for purification. There's a mantra for wisdom, there's a mantra for healing, there's a mantra for Tara mantras for activating kind of success, a kind of courage or fearlessness, So there's different mantras that activate different states of mind, for us, because our Buddha potential is, it's incredible what we can do with our mind. It is really incredible. Once you access some of these practices, even if we can't feel it all the time, but as you say, sometimes we just activate something and we have this beautiful feeling for a while, and then it goes away, and then mantra helps to reactivate these beautiful states of mind, wisdom, kindness, compassion. Okay, so as we get into the mantra, we'll can discuss that a bit more though, because that's going to be what I want to do this week is start with a meditation, and then we're going to I just want to roughly go over what we've covered already, so we feel kind of clear on that. I'd rather in classes give us less information that sticks than too much information that kind of doesn't stick. If you're like me, if I get too much information, it's very hard for anything to stick. So I wanted to go over just really what we've sort of covered and then start moving into the mantra and purification for the next sort of end of this class and the next class, how that is also a vital and key part, can be, in your spiritual practice, in your meditation practice. Okay, so let's just move into meditation. And it sounds like a few of us went over this 9-round breathing exercise. So we're going to do that, start with that this morning. So let's just start with finding your place in meditation. Again, with the scanning exercise, so we always need to feel. It's very hard to meditate when we're not grounded in the body. So we want to connect kindly with the body, kind of, as I say, like massaging or showering the body with breath and awareness, starting at the crown. And if you're more comfortable, you can start at the lower part of the body and work up. But basically, we want to cover the whole body with breath and awareness, like scanning it, and just releasing and relaxing tension with that power of breath and awareness as we move through the points, and also at that time checking your posture. So let's just do this for a couple of minutes on our own. Then take a minute just to ground on the cushion. Just be with the sensation of the sit bones on the cushion. Again, this is just grounding or earthing our energy, being more rooted in the body. And then just connect with the thought for a moment, how wonderful it is that I'm doing meditation practice. Taking this space to work on my heart, my mind, feelings, emotions. Taking this space to become my own therapist. To understand the inner psychology, work with, shift, change and transform the inner psychology of my own mind, my own heart. How wonderful that is. Even if we just don't feel that, just drop that thought in to your body, to your mind, to your meditation. Allow it just to sit there. So as we move into, first of all, 5 minutes of just doing placement meditation, calm abiding. First of all, as I said, a couple of us here shared that the 9-round breathing they found so helpful. So this is actually from the tantric teachings as a preparation to clear the wind energy before we meditate. As I said, wind and the mind and the wind energy are like horse and rider. You know, they go together. So when we clear the wind energy in the body, the mind it just clears. You know, it's more clear. We have a little bit more control over our mind. So imagine our body slowly transforming into like a balloon made of light. So all the pores, the cells. And if it's easier, you can imagine a ball of light like the moon, just on your crown. So that moon-like energy, but it's transparent. Touching your crown. And it starts to move down and fill the whole body. So all the pores, the cells, the blood, the bones. The layers of your physical body get touched by that light, translucent energy, and the whole body becomes in the nature of light. But it's a bit like a balloon, so our skin, we still have this skin thin energy like the outside of a balloon, but the inside is clear and translucent like light. Then within that light body, we have these 3 channels. So the main one I said that's important for meditation, the central channel that runs just in front of the spine, from just below the navel, a few inches below the navel, we have this like an arrow or a beam, but it's about the thickness of a piece of bamboo. Or we could say a straw, maybe that's better. Thickness of a straw from a few inches below the navel. So there's a blue light. That's the central channel that goes just below the navel in front of the spine, like an arrow all the way up to the crown and turns like the top of an umbrella to land at the level of the nostrils. So even if we can't see it, we just try to feel this blue energy beam of light. It's our central channel in that area of the body. It's like a tube light. We see many tube lights these days, so it's a bit like that. But it's soft, has a firmness, but it's soft and flexible. And then either side of those, just with a little bit gap between, there's what we call the right and the left channels. The red is right, the left is white. And there's also this beam of light energy on either side, going from just below the navel all the way up through the crown and to the tip of the nostrils. And they all meet at the bottom, just below the navel. So this is the arena or the environment of our subtle body. We have a light body with these three main channels. And that's what we want to clear for our meditation. When the mind's busy, disturbed, anxious, it gets clogged up. You know, the winds get clogged, tied. It kind of ties us or knots us up. So we want to release and relax and open up those channels. So taking the first finger, the right hand, closing off the left nostril. So when we inhale through the right, we imagine the energy going down that red channel, going up and down, and then when we exhale through the left, it's like it's clearing the channels. You know, it's going up through the white channel and clearing that channel. So we inhale through the right, the red, goes down to the bottom of the navel, and then that energy comes out, and we can imagine it's like dust or however it feels, just unblocking that left side of the body as we exhale through the left. And then we do that on the opposite side again. So we inhale. So again, if you can hold the count of 4. So we inhale for 4, keeping soft around the jaw, the back of the throat. And just go naturally at your own pace with the 4. As we do this more, the breath gets a bit deeper. So we inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale through the left for 4, and hold for 4. And we do that 3 times. When you finish, you go and do it on the opposite side, closing with the first finger of the left hand, the right nostril. Inhale through the left, goes down through that white channel to the bottom, just below the navel, and pushes out the energy stuck in the right channel, in the red channel. And we imagine like smoke or clouds just releasing kind of stale, heavy energy on the right and the right channel. 3 times. Then through both nostrils, the wind energy, the breath goes down through the white and the red channels and enters into the central channel. And part of that clean energy stays in there, while the rest just kind of expels as we exhale. So we inhale for 3, inhale for 4, hold for 4. And imagine some part of the pure wind energy goes into the central channel, and the rest that we don't want, that we want to release, goes through the exhalation. So we do that 3 times. So let's do this exercise just yourself for a few minutes one more time. Again, just bring back the visualization, a light body with the 3 channels, about the width of a straw, clear and translucent, or just light energy around the energy of the spine. And we're releasing stale wind energy, negative emotion, disturbing states of mind through the breath, So we bring that first hand, left hand, closing the right nostril, inhale through the first hand to the right hand, inhaling through the right nostril, left hand closing the right nostril, inhale through the right, exhale through the left 3 times. And you just carry on with the rest of the exercise. Keeping soft through the jaw, the back of the throat. Then when we're finished that, just sit with the clarity. Connect a bit with the clarity of mind. That's one of the basic qualities of consciousness. It's this clear, pure nature. So can we just feel that for a moment? Allow our concentration, our mind's eye, to settle on that. Does your mind feel a little bit more buoyant? A bit more energetic? So with that strength of clarity, a little bit more clarity, bring your awareness more specifically to our object that we've chosen for concentration, for calm abiding. The breath at the level of the tip of the nostrils, or the level of the abdomen. And making the affirmation for the next 5 minutes, I'm just going to simply rest my mind, take a break, take a holiday for thoughts, for the senses, engagement with the senses, and allow myself just to be with the breath, with the sensation at the tip of the nostrils or the level of the abdomen. So just clarify that, and making this determination just to allow our mind to rest there for the next 5 minutes. just before letting go of the breath, just step back a little bit for the breath or your thoughts, wherever you are, without any sense of judgment. And just before we come out of the meditation, just want to consider for a moment this, the attitude, the feeling of gratefulness. So this is very much where we start on the spiritual path, trying to cultivate this feeling fortunate, grateful for our life. So sometimes for Westerners, for us, it's not easy, you know. So take a moment to think about what it is, some things, what's the first thought that comes up when you think, well, if it's somebody asks you, what are you grateful for in your life? What do you feel fortunate, is something fortunate in your life? So for us Buddhists, when we wake up in the morning, we try to catch a first thought of gratefulness. Not like, where's the coffee? I need a shower. But can we catch and be mindful to think of something positive, like, how wonderful I woke up this morning, I'm still alive. Do we ever think like that? So that's what we're asked to consider, to cultivate at the beginning of the Buddhist path, this kind of feeling of gratefulness, of just being a human, being alive, and having this inner potential to change and transform, to be able to connect and open that up more and more. What we call our Buddha nature. Our potential for transformation, because we have a mind, we have a consciousness. So how wonderful it would be if I and all beings really are able to navigate how to really open that up, awaken that. It's like a lotus. You know, often the path is compared to a lotus, or our potential. Just like a lotus grows out of the mud, becomes something very beautiful, you know, on the top of the water, peaceful, beautiful to look at. It's very similar to our spiritual path. We have this potential that's under the water, in the mud, covered or hidden, simply just needs to be cultivated and nurtured and opened up, like this lotus. We need to know the way, the method to do that. And we start by thinking how wonderful I have this beautiful potential. It's covered right now, but it's amazing that I have it. And being a human affords me the best and easiest way to cultivate that, because I have human intelligence. I can understand what's right and what's wrong, what creates happiness and unhappiness. I have the potential for deep feelings and emotions and deep intellectual understanding. So with all that, I can awaken my lotus of wisdom and compassion. So how wonderful that is. And may I and all beings really be able to cultivate that inner lotus. So our life becomes beautiful for ourselves and beautiful for others. So just take a moment to think, does that feel possible? That we can open some beautiful qualities within ourselves, patience, kindness, more wisdom, more skillful behaviour, where body, speech and mind. Okay. You can come out your meditation when you're ready. So when we look at the images of the Buddhas, see here, for even those of you online, you can kind of see the image of the Buddha back there, yeah? So all the Buddhas, the lotus becomes a very powerful image, in this tradition, because it's very much like that. We're stuck in our stuff, but we have this incredible potential, like the lotus, to become something very beautiful for ourselves and other beings, and you can see that in beings who have really developed something. They have this beauty, yeah. So like that, we all have that, It's just about how do we really access that? How do we keep opening that up on a daily basis? And it really is through the power of meditation, through the power of practice, through the power of, as I mentioned last week, listening to teachings, reflecting on teachings, and then using that to nurture and cultivate that beauty of the two wings that we want to practice, that we want to develop, the wing of wisdom and the wing of compassion. And that's why, it's like almost like, the lotus in these images has a lot of meaning, but just in the beginning, I find that very powerful. I still find it very powerful, that image of a lotus. How we have that potential to be something very beautiful, very awake, very open. But it's kind of stuck. It's like caked over with mud at the moment, down at the bottom underneath this pond, Of course, for some bits it's a wee bit more open, But this is this whole process of getting it up out of there to breathe a little bit, to open a little bit, how accessing that more and more. Because it's very inspiring, as some of us have probably done, as even Diane was sharing, from last week in the meditation. Something opened up. It's amazing when something opens up, and we need to get these experiences in our meditation. We might not get them all the time, but just having these insights and experiences we know that's possible. And that gives a lot of energy. So I mentioned also in that meditation, this sense of gratefulness. Did we all find that we could find something we feel grateful for? That's good. But do we think about that a lot? We do? Oh, that's good, yeah. Great. So some of us might have cultivated that feeling of feeling fortunate already, But also when we're bogged down with life's responsibilities, it's not easy, right? We can't always feel it. But at least, so we use this term mindfulness. We see that a lot, even when you come into Gompa, it's be mindful of your shoes. What does mindfulness mean? Josh, you want to share what your understanding of mindfulness means?
For me, mindfulness is just being... Can you hear me?
We can now, yes.
For me, mindfulness is just being in your body in the present moment and able to take in what's happening without judgment.
Good. Yep. Anyone else understand mindfulness, what that might mean?
Not being distracted.
Yes. Sorry, what's your name again?
Ginny.
Ginny. Okay. Ginny said not being distracted. Well, that's very true as well. So these are all aspects of mindfulness. It's a bit like when you're mindless, you're completely unaware of what's going on in your mind. You're just following the thoughts, yeah? But when you're mindful, you have this level of awareness of what's going on, as Josh says, in your body and also in your mind, So, and that's something very important to cultivate, like having this kind of spaciousness. One of the meditations I put online to share was activating spaciousness. You could say it's activating mindfulness. This ability to be able to a little bit step back and see yourself, see what's going on with your thoughts. See when anger and agitation, when too much desirous or attachment energy or any of your neuroses are coming up, being able to catch them. And the only way we can do that is by this quality of mindfulness, activating and being aware of that, So similarly, when we get up in the morning, are we aware, like can we think about, instead of getting up and saying, where's the coffee and I've got this day and do, can we activate this thought, how lucky I'm alive? Because, we are. We just came across an accident this morning on the highway, as I mentioned. I mean, we don't know what happened to them, So this is one of the insights we use, one of the methods we use in the Buddhist tradition, because a lot of the time we feel grateful for things in our life that are external, but if they shift and change, I'm so grateful for my house. That's good. But if that shifts and changes, then that drops out, that feeling of gratefulness, and then there's a worry and a fear and an anxiety, So what we try to capture at the very beginning in the spiritual path, it's called capturing this insight into how fortunate we are to be a human, how fortunate we are because we have what we don't know about sometimes as Westerners, and hopefully we discover when we come to these classes, we have this incredible Buddha nature that can go way beyond, it has a capacity to go way beyond any kind of temporary happiness that we enjoy this life. So it doesn't mean not being appreciating your possessions and your friends and your family, but these are temporal things. So what we want to awaken is this kind of deeper, long-term happiness that doesn't get affected by, and it doesn't mean that you're not sensitive to other people's suffering and struggles. You become very sensitive, but it doesn't get affected by the turbulence and ups and downs of this life, And that's what the Buddha nature affords us, and that's what we need to access. That's our inner lotus right there, That's our inner potential, and that's what we're trying to access in meditation. Develop and nurture and grow that. I think I've said it a few times, but again, it's not easy because we don't hear this from a young age, and we don't hear that at school. We don't hear that at university. We hear we have some potentials, but not this kind of more hidden one. As my teacher says, the biggest secret in life is the secret of mind, and the secret that there's so much joy and happiness you can achieve through your mental states, through the power of meditation and practice. That's incredible, that has so much ability and strength to guide you through life, So there's no question we need that in our life, So there's mental quietude, of course, that you get through breathing meditation, or concentration, but there's a whole other layer of other different qualities that we can access, as we know about loving kindness, compassion, wisdom, patience, joyousness, gratitude. So, but for our meditation practice to kind of really take off and continue to get energy for that, it's like trying to connect with this sense of gratitude in our life. This sense of, and a connectedness with our Buddha nature. This is what's really going to feed me and hold me through my life. The more I open up and awaken that, the more I'm going to find happiness in my life, in any situation. I'm going to be able to deal more and more with different situations. So this class has really been about, hopefully through how we activate that potential that's already there. Like we activate when we want to make our bread, we want to bake. Does anybody bake? When we make bread, you need yeast to activate the ingredients so it rises. So it's a bit like that. We have all these kind of fundamental ingredients going on with a bit of patience, a bit of this, a bit of that, but we need to activate them in meditation. So the meditation's a bit like yeast. It's activating these more and more and more, so they become really part of a bigger part of who we are, who we identify with. Communicating? So I'm going to share, now we're going to share the Zoom. I'm going to share some of the PowerPoints. Did anyone have any questions about that meditation or comments? We went a little bit, before I start on this, we went a little bit more deeper into the 9-round breathing, because a couple of people, maybe some of you didn't hear online, but a couple of people here, Stan and I think Holden, had done the 9-round breathing exercise that I sent, and they were saying how it was so helpful. You know, so did anyone else do that 9-round breathing exercise? Robbie, what was you? Did you want to share anything from that exercise?
It was just good. It was just a good way to get focused for my breathing, and it actually felt like I was releasing, inner dust that's kind of blocking some of my good habits that I want to come out more.
Yes, good. Thank you. Anyone else want to share something from that? Maybe Josh, had you done that? Did he go out for him? Sometimes he has to leave. He's not here at the moment, I think.
I'm here.
You are there, Josh. Okay, sorry, I'm going up and down here. Josh, okay. Josh, had you done that before, the 9-round breathing? Because I know you've done a bit of meditation, so I wondered if you'd come across that before.
Yes. For me, it doesn't really connect very well. I find that the more complex the visualization that I have to do, the less I'm able to connect with it. So for me, just the standard breathing seems to connect better.
That works better. Okay. Yeah. Well, we have to find what works for us, yeah? So let me just find this slide I'm supposed to be on. Okay, I think it's this one, yeah. Okay, class 4. And I have to... I've got these other bits on my screen here so I can see the screen myself. So I wanted to... So again, we're just really just going over a little bit what we've covered already. Definition of meditation. Becoming familiar with positive states of mind. GOM. I've got it there, good. So, I find this really helpful to just remind myself that, what I'm doing in meditation. You know, and as I've mentioned just before in the class, becoming familiar, really also just what's arising in our mind, you know, whatever it is. And labelling that, and then slowly shifting gear into, hopefully through the power of meditation, shifting gear into having more positive states of mind than more negative states of mind. So first of all, we just have to become familiar with our mind in meditation. You know, become familiar with ourselves. As I mentioned last week, becoming our own therapist. And then slowly becoming more familiar with positive states of mind, you know. And it's positive states of mind. So as it says here, when somebody gets angry or upset with us, through the power of familiarity in our meditation practice, in our sitting practice, in our mindfulness practice throughout the day, we can hopefully have a bit more patience, or at least we don't get hurt or upset. You know, we have a bit more kindness, a bit more space to deal with the situation. We're not in the situation. So that's the meaning of meditation. And again, I mentioned last week as a 2-step process. I haven't got it up there because I thought I'll just check. But I thought I'd go for this because I think I'll mention the first one. So deactivating or healing our mind of disturbing states of mind that create unhappiness and destroy our natural peace of mind. Right, so we want to chip away at those. So this is what our meditation practice needs to be doing. As I mentioned, the aspect about simply doing the concentration exercise is that, yes, you can go into if you get very good at it, you can go into quite deep states of concentration. But it's not necessarily working with the negative states of mind. You know, so like I had this image of this yogi, if you remember last week, this yogi who was in meditation with the mice or the rats, you know. It was like from the ancient days, somebody was meditating in a cave. I mean, very few people do that now, I think. We have meditation huts and cabins are all quite nice, 5-star, you know. But in those, you know, even like when I go to the Himalayas, they all went to caves to meditate, you know. It's quite incredible, really, incredible. So anyway, this yogi had been in deep state meditation, and he when he came out, he was doing shamatha, this calm abiding. So he was sitting there for hours. When he came out, he found out his hair had grown so long, and some of the mice or rats had eaten his hair, and he got really upset. He got disturbed, you know. And that's kind of showing us that we also need to be, we're not just going in, it's a level of escapism almost when you go into just meditation, just concentration. We want to confront. We want to, again, find a healthy space where we're confronting and working with, becoming our therapists and working with these states of mind. You know, a kind space, but a clear space where we can work on them. So we're deactivating those, and then we're nurturing to help overcome these negative states, positive states of mind. So we want to be doing that in our session, both of those things, this two-step process. And as I said, it's possible because we all possess Buddha nature, the potential within us that can be nurtured, developed, and totally transformed from suffering into everlasting infinite wisdom and compassion, as we see in this beautiful image of Lama Yeshe. Wouldn't we all want to be like that? As I say, his lotus is really coming out, yeah? I mean, you can see that when you see these gurus, these holy beings. Wow, so beautiful. You know, there's a natural expression of love, joy, compassion, you know, and it's there, as he says, it's deep, you know, but it's just like caked over, you know, when mud gets all dry and it cakes over. Sometimes it's so much like that we can't even see our stuff, you know, so, but either way, it's there, you know, so this is what we need to read these inspiring things as well. So in the early days at Kopan Monastery, you know, this is our mother monastery in India, the mothership, as some of my friends call it, where we all, you know, many of my old peer students met Buddhism. I met Buddhism there too. And Lama Yeshe and Lama Zopa Rinpoche, you've seen pictures of both of them. They're the founders of our organisation. So for the very early students, what they used to do, Lama Yeshe and Lama Zopa Rinpoche would both teach the courses. I mean, they were so fortunate to have these like two great yogis teaching your 10-day course. They would teach them like beginner meditation and everything, you know. As Rinpoche got more popular in Lama Yeshe, I mean, you didn't get so much hands-on like that. But in the very early days, when the only thing that wasn't easy for them, they were all sleeping on straw mats. There was no proper toilets. I mean, the accommodations were very, very minimal. But you had this great fortune of being guided by these great masters, you know, directly. But anyway, so how Lama Yeshe and Lama Zopa Rinpoche would teach these courses is they would, you know, Lama Yeshe would come in and say, oh, you've all got this lotus mind, you've got this Buddha nature, you can be all these Buddhas, and, you know, it'd be very uplifting. Then Lama Zopa Rinpoche would come in and say, but you're all suffering. And you've got anger and you've got fears and you're going to the hells if you don't do this and that. And he'd give them all the heavy dose, you know. But the thing is, we need both, you know. So I think the students would call something like Lama Yeshe was a good cop and Rinpoche was a bad cop, you know. Because we need to address these two things, you know. So it's almost like when your mind's heavy and you don't feel anything good about yourself, you need to meditate in this fact that we have this potential, you know, like Lama Yeshe would come in and make everybody really excited. And then, but then if you're feeling too like full of yourself and I'm so happy and you're kind of at the expense of others, you know, sometimes we feel so full of our own happiness. We're not, it's kind of be at the expense of others, then we need to think about our shortcomings. So this two parts, we need to be the good cop and the bad cop a little bit for ourselves, you know. When do we need the good cop? When do we need to be kind and gentle? Remember about our Buddha nature. And when the delusions are too strong or whatever, then we need to kind of, you know, take a grip. Get a grip a little bit, you know. So we need to develop these two parts in our practice, because we have these two aspects that need developed and other things that need worked on. Just to cover, I think most of you probably know this already, And I've mentioned many, but again, I was going to do these slides earlier and never covered them, so I wanted to just make sure we're clear on all this. Misconceptions about the goal of meditation. Oh, they were supposed to come up separately, but that didn't work this time. So it doesn't mean don't go into nature, and when we're extremely busy, we need to calm the mind down a bit, you know. But being it's not just about getting away from our problems. As I say, it's very much about facing our inner stuff. It's not about emptying the mind of thoughts, which often people think it is that when we meet meditation. So I wanted to be clear on that. It's really not about that. We have to face our thoughts, face our stuff, and recognise eventually they're not who we are at all. But right now we feel we're very immersed in our thoughts, you know, so we need space from them first, then we need to work on our thoughts, and then eventually we discover they're not who we are at all, you know. But until we get manage our thoughts a little bit better, we need to work and use thoughts. It's not like going to church on a Sunday. Well, most of us, we're out of that habit very much in Western culture anyway. Certainly in this area. There might be other states where they're not doing that. They're still doing that, you know, but it's not that either. We want to be very engaged in our meditation practice. And I remember when I was teaching meditation at our monastery in Kopan as well in Nepal, and we had these two young guys come, and they had just been a lucid dreaming meditation retreat. So we were leading these meditations on impermanence and, you know, suffering and, you know, precious human rebirth and loving kindness. And they came up to me and says, I can do all this stuff in my dreams, you know, like fly and this and that. And like they were so full of this lucid dreaming. And I thought, well, that's wonderful, you know. But I was trying to say it's not really what we're trying to do in meditation. But they were so full. So when your glass is full, it's very hard to put something else in. So they were very full of that, you know. So somehow they thought that this is the thing, you know. I mean, of course, they could use that in meditation, but this is kind of all they had been focused on in this particular retreat, you know, just trying to get this ability to fly and do different things in your dream. The last one is gain reputation. That's a tricky one. Maybe right now we're not doing that, but we can get a bit like, I'm going to my meditation class. Maybe. I'm a meditator, I'm a practitioner, you know. That can sneak in. So I found this on, I think it was on Facebook or something. I quite like this little skit. Do we get it? So he's sitting there looking at his phone, and then somebody comes up the mountain to meet the yogi, and he puts his chair and phone away and starts meditating. So I thought it was quite funny. We get it? We getting it online there? So again, actually it is a tricky one, reputation. Because even sometimes people can criticise you for going to meditation. I mean, I had to deal with it quite a lot when I became a nun. Because as I was sharing at the beginning of the class as well, when I first became a nun, I think some of my family thought, what the blah are you doing, you know? You know, and that can happen, isn't it, among friends and family? They're like, what you do? It depends on our family situation, but reputation can be a bit of a thing to deal with, you know, in terms of maybe getting more criticism for others. You know, they don't understand what you're doing. So that can take a while, and that does take a while to work with, actually. You know, and that's why it's good to have a sangha, to have other people who are doing the same thing, so you get a lot of encouragement from others or for your teacher, you know, so you feel encouraged by that. And this again highlights the importance of having others, friends, teachers, sangha who you have to talk to about your practice and meditation, having the right friends to support you in your spiritual practice. The more you go deeper into practice and meditation, we need that. It's something very important. That's why when you take refuge, what we take refuge in, we recite this prayer every day when you become Buddhist, I take refuge in the Buddha as a teacher, the Dharma as the teachings, and the Sangha. That's three important things. Sangha is a spiritual community, those who support you, your friends on the spiritual path. So we do need all that. You know, there are three equally important. no matter where you're on your path, you know, we're going to need a bit of a sangha support to encourage and feel like, yeah, we're doing the same thing here.
Would you mind repeating the first three?
The Buddha? Oh, yes. So, sorry, what's your name again?
Marian.
Marian.
Yeah, Marian.
Marian, yeah. Sorry, I say it completely different. But Marian, yeah. So Marian's asking just to repeat. So even though we haven't taken refuge in Buddhism, or, you know, we're not there yet, but every day as a sort of practitioner, we have to recite and remember what we call our objects of spiritual refuge, what we rely on to develop our spiritual practice. So what we rely on, whether we're Buddhist or not, whether we're another tradition or not, well, we say we rely on the Buddha. But that means we rely on beings who have more knowledge than us. You know, the Buddha has developed his mind fully, we would say, in the Buddhist tradition. There's no more. Actually, the final path in the Buddhist tradition is called the path in no more learning. That's when you become a Buddha. So up until then, you've got something to learn about yourself. You've got something to cultivate in your mind. You know, so we rely on the Buddha because we see him as the ultimate teacher, you know. The Dharma is the spiritual teachings in a simple way, you know. So we need to rely on teachers. We need to rely on spiritual teachings. That which, again, supporting our mind to uplift the mind in positivity, to open the mind in the qualities of wisdom and compassion. So Dharma, that's what Dharma does. It holds the actual name, one of the connotations of Dharma. I mean, we hear this term a lot now, one of the connotations, and the beautiful thing about the Sanskrit language is it has many connotations, you know, each word, but one of them is holding. It holds us from suffering, from dissatisfied states of mind. It lifts the mind up, something to hold. So teachings hold our mind, they place our mind in a state of that's a bit happier, ideally, you know, lifting us up from heavier, like this backpack I mentioned last week, you know. So it's like, maybe it's like the backpack holds some of the stuff, you know, like the Dharma's holding us, you know. So it holds us up. And then the Sangha are like, we can say the spiritual community, you know, the friends, the people that we're doing something similar with, that support us. And some of them might be more evolved than us. Ideally, some of the Sangha, they may be at the same level, or they may be a bit more evolved, which means that they're a few steps ahead of you, so they can support you in your practice. So we need all of that in our spiritual practice. Common problems in meditation I just wanted to address as well. So I think we mentioned this as well. Diana mentioned this at the start of class. From the meditation last week, she felt all her junk came out. I said, great. Because that's the exact experience you want. Ideally, you let the junk just leave. Don't hold on to it and go, oh my God, I'm so bad, I'm so this, I'm so that. Allow it just to leave. Just like when you put the laundry in the laundromat, the junk, you know, when we put the soap in the water, all the grime and the dirt and the dust, it leaves that cloth, or, you know, the towels, the you know, whatever, our laundry, it leaves that. It's like that. We want it just to come out. It's like when we do the 9-round breathing, we breathe in and we want to expel all the stuff that's coming out. So you will find this in your meditation practice, that all of a sudden some junk comes out. So it's good to know this is going to happen. And that means your practice is good for you. Because as Diana said, all this junk came out and then I felt a bit lighter. You know, so you'll have times, you might have meditation practices, sometimes you sit, nothing much is happening, and all of a sudden one session, boom, 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 all that, you know, you feel is good stuff, but then all this junk's coming out too. Just let it go. Allow it to dissolve into the sky, space, under the earth. We actually have purification practices where you're visualizing your junk coming out, much more visceral, you know. You want it to come out. You're asking for it to come out. Please come out, please leave me, you know. So there are practices like that. So this is very much a sign of the practice that you're doing is working for you when your junk starts coming out. This is just another aspect of it from this book, How to Meditate. Did anyone look up this book? Has anyone got this book?
I haven't.
Okay, Diane's got it. Anyone else? I'm just looking to see if there's any hands up. No. Anyway, it's a very good book just to go through the different styles of meditation, to be aware of them. And it goes through some, as I say, I'm showing some of these here, goes through some key things you need to look out for in your meditation, and a lot of great tips as well. So actually the soap and water is very much the method of meditation we're using. You know, it's like we're putting soap and water to our mind when we do this 9-round breathing exercise. You know, it's bringing out the dirt. When we do, which we're going to move on to, mantra recitation. Even when we do some kind of analytical meditation, some other stuff can come up that's kind of fighting with that analytical meditation, but that's good, it's bringing it up and out. So I'm very much, in a way, our mind's very organic, you know. It's a very organic matter. It doesn't like junk. It likes good stuff. It likes all the organic stuff. It likes who we are. Organically, we are wisdom and compassion. That's who we are. But we've got all this other stuff that's the opposite. What's the opposite? Organic, not non-organic, but polluted. We've got the pollutions of, anger, pride, jealousy. It's not natural to who we are. It really isn't, you know. That's why it comes out when we apply the nice organic soap and water of the Buddhist practice, the spiritual practice. Then all the pollution comes out. I mean, when you look at our world, it's polluted. From what? From our junk. It's our inner junk, our need for more and more and more and more and more. For anger, for fear. So our environment's very much a reflection of who we are, you know. But we need to take, we have to do it individually, you know. But it is very much a reflection. All the pollution is a reflection of the pollution that's, we're in what we call in the Buddhist tradition degenerate time. So there's a lot of inner pollution going on that's reflected now in the outside world due to our inner pollution. But basically all we can do is just work as an individual and help where we can. But the more we cleanse our inner pollution, the more we can help in a very big and vast way. You know, much more than we can imagine. As it says here, it's a way to purify what is already there. We're organic by nature, but we've just got pollutions that are covering us up right now. And it's true that we will go through layers of stuff that we need to work on. The gross stuff comes out first, and then more and more and more subtle. So be patient and don't worry, as Venerable Sangha or Kathleen MacDonald says. She's actually a nun. I don't know why she uses her other name there, and again, just reminding that we see meditation like healing or medicine. Just like we're trying to heal, there are people who are trying to heal the planet right now. Well, we have to heal the planet, our own mind. From pollution, inner pollution. That's the big job. It's actually bigger than healing the planet. When we heal the planet, when we heal our inner planet, the whole outer planet's healed. That's the promise in the Buddhist teachings. When you heal the inner planet, there's no outer pollution. That's a big one. Mm-hmm. When you really heal your inner planet, there's no pollution. There's nothing to fight for. There's no activist fighting out there, even with the planet. It doesn't mean that we have to take care of things at a conventional level. But when we really heal ourselves, our whole organic Buddha nature comes out. There's no pollution. The Buddha doesn't experience pollution. We do because of our karma. It's our karmic appearance to see pollution right now, to see dirt, to see war, famine, disease. We see it, we don't have the karmic appearance to be in it right now. But we might be at some point, we don't know, But for Buddhas, when the mind's fully developed, there is no pollution. There is no famine, there is no disease, there is no war. That's a whole big step though. That takes a while, but it's possible. Everything's possible with Buddha nature. So last week, I think I tried to do in the meditation, for those of us who was there, it was a little bit touching on this meditation on equanimity. Did we get that? Oh, where are we going? Last week we did this, I was trying to introduce analytical meditation. So we have the meditation where we're calming the mind, concentrating on the breath, just bringing a little bit of calmness, peace, activating calmness, activating concentration. Then the other type of meditation that I introduced last week was analytical meditation. So using our thoughts to transform our mind. Trying to get a grasp on our thoughts to change how we think. But doing that in a more meditative place. So last week I used one example is equanimity meditation. I haven't sent that. Did I send that yet? No. No, I'll send it next week. So I touched on it last week. Equanimity. Anybody, what does equanimity mean? Developing that mind of equanimity. Anybody want to be brave enough to share? Stan?
I could say a little bit. It usually, I find it referring to attraction and aversion, and getting beyond both of those elements, and so we don't have. There's also ignorance in there too, but we are trying to be free of both attraction and aversion equally to things, to people, to everything. Yeah. That's my understanding.
Yes, that's good. Anyone else want to share something? So when we meet people, I think I tried to mention last week, when we do the equanimity meditation, I'll come to this slide in a minute, it's the same vein, but when we sometimes, so Richard Gere, we all know Richard Gere, yeah? He's like a practicing Buddhist, and he says he does this practice every day. I mean, he's famous, yeah? So, when you're famous, it can be quite difficult because all sorts come up to you, But of course, he's a Buddhist practitioner. So what he says he practices, when he sees anybody, he tries his first thought to have in his mind, may you be happy. That's his first thought. Something like a thought to wish that being happiness. That's his mindfulness throughout his day. And I thought that's a really good practice. Because as Stan was saying, what blocks, in the very beginning, what sort of blocks this thought of loving kindness towards others is this kind of scenario that we've going on in our mind. And please correct me if you feel I'm wrong, or the Buddha was wrong, but isn't it correct that when we meet people, we have a category of friend, kind of, I know you. Then there's a category of maybe not enemy, but difficult, or I don't like you. Sometimes we see somebody and we just don't like them. There's an aversion, it's called aversion, like a feeling of not feeling close but distant from that person. Difficult person, or we might have never met them before, but we feel, I don't like you. Something about your look, or your energy, or how you walk, or that's just the first thought that comes up. Yeah. So we have this category of a sort of friend person, somebody we know, we're open to them. We have a category of aversion, difficult, challenging. I'd rather not be near you, whatever. Then there's the category of I don't know you. Like just people we meet in the street. It's like they're not really there. You just meet people, there's a sort of numbness. And we call it, the category is called friend, enemy, stranger. And I thought, wow, when I first heard this teaching, I mean, it's so enlightening, really, because that's what's going on in our mind. Friend, enemy, stranger, you know. Would you agree, those of you online? Am I seeing some nods? Friend, enemy, stranger. So what I was trying to address a little bit, just start that process, and I'm going to hand out the equanimity meditation for next week, and you can read through it. What we have to do when we start this process of analytical meditation, so we need analytical meditation to analyse and see this process going on in our mind, these walls that we've created. And we've probably created them over some lifetimes, because it's not like we purposely create them this life, but they just are there. Like that stranger wall is just there. Yeah. And we have to activate, consciously activate feeling a little bit close to that person. You know, that's the thought of loving kindness. Because the idea in this tradition is we try and feel kindness towards everybody. Buddha nature, that beautiful lotus, is open to all beings, not just my buddies. I can be a lotus for you, but not for them. You know, so we want to be a lotus for everybody, you know, because people need loving kindness, you know. People need our care, or, you know, our good thoughts, you know. Even if it's just a good thought, that's great, you know. We don't need to go out and save all the homeless. But just to have a good thought towards that person, open up our heart. And actually the thing is that we feel better than feeling nothing towards someone. Feeling, it's not even a nothingness, I think it's like a numbness. There's no very little sensitivity. It's the opposite of compassion almost. It's like a lack of sensitivity towards someone. So that's what we do in equanimity meditation. We imagine a friend, enemy and stranger and wish each one, just opening up that thought, may you be happy. So when we go out today and you see some people, you know, if you notice that numb feeling, just say, may you be happy, may you be well, may you be free from suffering. I mean, there's so many homeless around here. You know, I'm not saying we have to go out and save everybody, but just that positive thought helps us and it helps them. And it's actually working with this muscle of developing a kindness and a love and an openness towards everybody. It's opening that lotus of loving kindness, because otherwise it's just very much a couple of petals to focus towards, like people will like. And the danger is, anyway, sometimes people are friends, then they become enemies. Or difficult. I mean, hello, we've all had that, yeah. So that's also like working with these difficult emotions when people become friends. And it doesn't mean that you have to be buddies with everybody, but it just means that we need to have a loving thought towards everybody. That's the main thing in the Buddhist practice. Developing that kind of thought of loving kindness towards everyone. So that's what we do in analytical meditation. We think about topics and we just kind of analyse them. Look at our mind. How's our mind doing with that topic? So we'll send out the equanimity meditation. The other one here is another quote. For example, what we can do in analytical meditation is pick out a quote, something we've just read that's inspiring, and sit and just reflect on that and a bit deeper. Because when we do analytical meditation, ideally we've done some of the breathing, you know, the 9-round breathing, we've done some of a little bit settling of the mind, and then the mind is maybe a little bit more clear. We've touched a little bit more clarity in the mind, a little bit more softness. Then we just think about, okay, yesterday I was angry with this person, you know, so how could I respond better the next time? Well, I just read a quote here like this, so let's think about that a bit more. Give my mind that juice. Instead of like, they did this and they did that and I should have got angry. You know, we usually go into that scenario. That's our meditation. You know, so why can't our meditation be, no, instead of getting angry, I'll take responsibility that, okay, it's not that they're perfect, but I need to just work on my anger in that situation, my agitation. So let's sit down in my meditation and think about something like this quote. If you can change the situation, why be unhappy? If you can't change the situation, why be unhappy? It's basically highlighting the There's no reason. It's complete. Anger's nonsensical. You know, it doesn't make any sense. So even if we can coax it's like when you do analytical meditation, you're trying to coax your mind into being more positive, going for the positive instead of the negative. Is this making sense?
Sounds like the serenity prayer to me.
So what's the serenity prayer?
From Alcoholics Anonymous.
Oh.
Give me,
Serenade?
Father God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change and the courage to change the things I can.
Oh wow, yeah, that is right,
And the
yeah.
wisdom to know the difference. That's the beauty.
Yes.
Okay, I want to get that written down so I could put that next to there. You know, this is what Shantideva said, this 11th century master, and this is what we're saying in the 21st century, the AA, it's the same, yeah. So, or Buddha, you could say Buddha, or the universe, or whoever, you know. So it's, yeah, good. Yeah, so it's the same idea, you know. So, but of course, so yeah, it's like thinking about, and of course you have, that's why I'm saying, actually Buddhist meditation is very much about being an AA or becoming your own therapist. It is very much like that. But we're just looking into like little bit deeper states of minds that disturb us. You know, okay, for AA, you've got this obvious one, desire and attachment, and you need to work with that, you know, and you need to really intensely work with it. Similarly, if we want to intensely work with anger, fear, attachment, and the main one that we want to kind of get to is how we wrongly perceive a self in this tradition. That's the kind of root of the whole problem in the Buddhist tradition. You know, it's this wrong perception of self, which we're not going to touch on apart from here. But really what we say in this tradition is, why do we have anger, attachment, fears, anxiety, alcohol and all? Where's this all coming from? It's actually all rooted in the fact that we perceive ourselves in a mistaken way. We perceive a solid, independent, concrete sense of self. So if you're interested in that analysis, keep coming. You know, because we get to that part. That's the really juicy part, when you get to, oh wow, how I perceive myself is the whole problem, you know. I have a wrong perception of self. So anger and all that comes out of that, you know. And that's where we want to activate our wisdom, when we start to get a little bit more insight into how we're perceiving ourselves in a wrong way. But it's a step-by-step process. So it's really this mind of clinging to me, myself, and I. So I have one friend, one Buddhist nun, Venerable Amy, she's a very good teacher. She coined the phrase, instead of, I mentioned we call the three jewels, the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Our three jewels are me, myself, and I. Right now, yeah? But we want to change and transform that into something else, you know? So that's the whole process of the Buddhist path. Changing, really, the main kind of end goal, well, there's two end goals. One end goal is shifting. It doesn't mean that we don't exist at all, but how we perceive ourselves exist is mistaken. And that's the troublemaker. That's what causes anger, fears, anxieties, depression. You know, we go into extreme habits because there's a wrong view of self. But that one's quite difficult. It's quite hidden, you know. So we first of all need to take care of the heavier states of mind first, you know. So, because that one's, it's, as I say, it's hidden. It's not so easy to find. But even if we get a little bit idea that maybe how I'm seeing myself is not correct, maybe I want to investigate that more. That's kind of how you enter into the Buddhist path. That's one of the big motivations, to discover that, how we actually exist. So yes, it's very much about analytical meditation is coaxing our mind into becoming more positive, responding, as you're saying, to situations in a different way, in a better way. So that's where we need to go on the cushion. When we react in a situation we're not happy with, we sit on the cushion and we use meditation to coax the mind into being more patient, more kind. Or even if Shantideva says if we can't be kind, remain like a piece of wood. That's his first advice. If somebody upsets you, something's difficult, remain like a piece of wood. Don't say anything. Shut up. You know, go away. That's the start, you know. And then you sit on your cushion and you reflect on the benefits of patience and the faults of anger, like that, you know. And then I think that was one of the meditation I sent, was one on the benefits of patience, fault. And then slowly you coax your mind into having more strength to be more patient in that situation. But we need meditation to do that. Because just swirling in our thoughts on a daily basis, it's not working, is it? So we need the power of meditation. We need the power of more subtle states of mind to access kind of like that ability to be more patient, you know, to cultivate that in meditation. Any questions, comments? Okay, so we're going to do, I don't think I'm going to have time to, because it's 11 o'clock already. Next, so we'll just touch on mantra, but and then we'll go into mantra recitation a little bit more next week. And here's someone asked for Om Mani Padme Hum. That's how you say it. That's how you spell it. Mantra is, so yeah, we've covered like bit concentration meditation, a little bit analytical meditation. So another method that we use in this tradition, which I would say is an instant, like instant potatoes. What else is instant? Pot noodle, instant. You get a lot of instant. I would say it's an instant connection with Buddha nature. It does depend on our own connection with mantra. Some of us feel like mantra doesn't do much for us. Some of us do feel like it really works, it activates our mind, you know. So a little bit depend on our karmic connection with these teachings, with the teachings on mantra. But I would say, you know, you can say it's an instant connection with our Buddha nature when we chant mantra. So why is that, you know? What does mantra mean? Again, mantra's a Sanskrit term. It literally means to protect the mind. So sometimes, as I said this morning, when I saw the accident this morning on the highway, then my first thought was, oh, well, of course you're driving, so you need to turn. You know, we had to turn and start going in the opposite direction because nobody could pass through there. But then I thought, oh, you know, what about these people? So I chanted some Om Mani Padme Hum. That's the mantra compassion. Because first of all, in that moment, it helps me to remember those people. You know, it activates, it has this power mantra to protect from negative states of mind for delusion, like more like our self-concern, which is the opposite of compassion. And it wakens up that thought for others. That's kind of what mantra's doing. It's kind of waking up this Buddha potential in a different way, you know, through the power of sound and vibration, visualization. That's another aspect where our mind can be very creative with sound, visualization, you know, and being creative and producing this kind of Buddha nature, you know, this power, this potential for compassion. And in that moment when you're reciting mantra, it helps your mind, it kind of grounds the mind in that activity so you're not swirling in negative states of mind. So what is mantra? It's also a series of Sanskrit syllables that evoke the energy of a particular Buddha or Bodhisattva. It works as a sacred sound that brings blessings to yourself and others, and as a tool to transform our mind into one that is more compassionate and wise. So that's what it does. That's what we're selling you. That's the advert. Sound good? I mean, we still have to sell everything these days, yeah. So this is the advertisement for mantra. What else does it do? Why are mantras in Sanskrit? Because it's considered a divine language in India. And it was this is what mantras. So even like the Buddha taught the tantric teachings. So the mantras come from the tantric teachings, and the Buddha taught these in Sanskrit. So of course these have been translated into Tibetan, into even I think Japan has some tantric teachings. Mostly Tibet holds most of the tantric teachings, but there are other traditions that have some. They were translated into their language. Now they're translated some in English. So fortunate. But the mantras are never translated. So all the meaning and the explanation, the visualizations, what you think, how you do, all the instruction, everything translated into the language you need. But the mantras themselves are never translated into English. They're kept in their original form because we have some sort of karmic, they have some sort of power to the way the syllables are arranged, to evoke a kind of quality within us. Our subtle body has a connection with those the way those mantras are arranged and aligned, and as it says here, they have this kind of purified, hallowed, or Sanskrit has this kind of special quality, these special qualities, and it's the sound that creates the sort of inner transformation in the mind. How many of us have done some mantra practice before? Bonnie, I thought you, yeah. How many of us feel a connection with some mantra practices or not so much? Yeah, some of us do, yeah.
So they're always in Sanskrit?
Yes.
Because I've just been somewhere where we've been doing quite a lot of mantra. And I never thought about what languages it's in. I thought it was in Tibetan what we were doing.
Most likely it's Sanskrit. The rest of the rest of the practice may have been in Tibetan, but usually the mantras... Do you remember the mantras?
I do. I don't want to say.
Okay. But yeah.
Lama Kieno. Is that Sanskrit or Tibetan?
That's actually Sanskrit.
Thank you.
No, lamas. Lamas. That's Tibetan.
Yes.
But that's more of a invocation than a mantra.
Yes. It goes on a bit.
Yeah.
The lama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's calling the guru. So yes, sometimes that gets a bit confusing because sometimes when you do Tibetan prayers, like we do the Tibetan prayer Angie, that's in Tibetan.
Yeah.
That's not a mantra.
Yeah.
So Lama Kien, that's not a mantra, it's an invocation.
As a mantra
Well, I guess
instructions.
it depends on the teacher. If the teacher's himself, this is where it gets a wee bit more complicated because there's different traditions of Buddhism. So, of course, you will find you go a little bit different school, or but different school, And that again, if you receive something directly from a guru, a qualified guru, that becomes their mantra, like their name mantra, But just in a sort of generic way we're talking about now,
I hadn't thought about
Yeah.
it. It was just interesting.
Yeah, like reciting the name mantra, your guru, is something very special because it's your particular teacher, So, but generally speaking, like we're talking about the main ones like Tara mantra, Chenrezig mantra, medicine, but they're all kept in Sanskrit, Occasionally the Tibetans might change one syllable, like Vajra for Dorji or something, but mostly it's kept in it's primarily kept in Sanskrit for some of these reasons.
Could it be an appeal to universality too, that everyone who is Buddhist is using the same language for the mantras?
Yeah, I think universally it creates a very powerful energy because everybody's doing the same mantras, and it connects with something deep within everybody universally. We have we would say in this kind of universe, we're on planet Earth. These are the mantras that the Buddha taught, but if you go to another universal system, there's boundless universes in the Buddhist canon teachings. And the Buddhas teach many universities. They've probably taught different mantras in different universities, but our karma in this universe is to hear the mantras in this particular way. There's infinite Buddhas with infinite mantras and practices. Even in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, it's overwhelming how many practices there are, But And somehow in this planet we are karmic karma right now. These are the mantras that awaken these qualities for us. This is what the Buddhas perceived and saw, and this is how they guide us. And of course, if you go more specifically into individual teachers and teachings, they may give you according to your karma. When you're really with realised masters, they have the power to do that, you know. But these are more like, these right now are universal and common. Mani Padme Hum is the most common mantra in the Tibetan tradition, you know. Because it's the mantra compassion, and it embodies who His Holiness is, you know, the Buddha compassion. His Holiness the Dalai Lama is the head of the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. So what I want to do now is, it's going a bit faster, is we'll go into a little bit this next week, but I wanted to just guide a very simple meditation starting with these 3 syllables, because I wasn't sure who had done mantra before and who hadn't. So let's take a few minutes break. And then we're going to come back at 1:15 and do this Oma Home meditation. And I'm leaving this up here so you can just see this and read this before the meditation. But we're going to do a meditation just using the 3 basic syllables: Om, Divine Body, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, or we can just A is the speech of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Hum is the wisdom of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So that's what these 3 embody. Now, of course, we can also just think Om is like we're going to visualize these in our bodies and do some sort of purification and mantra recitation to try and feel the kind of energy and vibration of these 3 syllables. If we don't think Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, you can just think the pure energy of the universe, you know, Om Hum. If we're not connecting with Buddhas and Bodhisattvas so much. Anyway, I'll guide you through it when we get to it, but this is just generally what these 3 syllables mean. But for those of you who might need a few minutes to maybe shake around a bit, we'll do a few minutes break and then we'll come back around 1:15 and do this short meditation.
Is the Mani Padme male and female?
Well, yes, you can. I mean, it basically means a unification of wisdom and compassion. All the mantras have the whole path within them. They all contain the whole path. That's what's special about them as well. And Mani actually means jewel, and Padme means lotus. So one way to think is, by reciting this, may I in all beings awaken the jewel of compassion and the lotus in my heart.
Well, say it and spell it.
Oh, that's
Reward@packbill.net.
Yeah, I have been sending you.
There's a lot of deep meaning to Mani Padme Hum, but that's like one level of meaning, yeah. So you actually can think about that when you're reciting it, you know.
I like thinking about that.
Okay, good. So that's it. I'll put this other one back up again.
When we speak of mantra, the power of mantra being connected to the actual vibration of the sound,
Yeah,
I mean, as a musician,
yeah,
that really resonates with me.
of course, yeah,
The pun resonates.
yeah.
It implies, it seems, the power of just vibrational resonation that we find in music. And of course, with mantras, it's deeper connotation. to
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
because it's coming from a higher plane
Mhm.
of awareness.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly, yeah, yeah.
And those specific syllables, though, are what, for whatever reason, having the power to.
Yeah, they have a power to sort of awaken that quality compassion, you know. As I've seen, it's like doctors, you know. If you're a doctor, you can see, or maybe even more like, not even a doctor, maybe somebody who's done a lot of research. So they know all the ingredients of like all the medicines, what goes in. So it's more like somebody who's a researcher, a great researcher. Well, this is like the Buddha. So somehow he sees that like that combination of mantras and syllables and sound and vibration does something to open up the quality of your heart, you know.
I mean, I believe that the world, the universe, the cosmos is far more complex than we understand.
Yeah,
Actually.
exactly, yeah.
And therefore, it's highly acceptable to me to think that vibrations can heal, can do all kinds of things that we don't understand.
Yeah, and I mean, people fight. That's why people love music, you know. There is something to that. But a lot of music can activate not so sometimes not so positive states of mind.
It's
You
a
know?
powerful thing. How
Yeah.
it's used.
Yeah. I mean, I think basically we have, I think in our subtle body, we have a very subtle resonance in mantra and vibration going on, but we're just not connected with it, you know.
Right.
So I think this, we do already have that subtle vibration going on in the body, in this very subtle body. I think for holy beings that's going on all the time, but until you reach sort of deeper levels of meditation, you can't feel that naturally.
Because of our blockage.
You were just blocked, you know, and we don't have, I mean, at the level of tantric practice, when you can actually get this, like the level, these winds to enter through, you know, when you do these 3 channels, it's when you get into some level of what we call completion stage, that you would get the winds to enter the central channel, then you really activate like these subtle minds, you know, and I think then this kind of subtle resonance and mantras going on in your being. But we just activate it where we are right now, you know, and it really opens up I mean, I love mantra, it opens up the mind, you know.
Yes. Right. And then there was this other idea that came up as you were describing. It was the Richard Gere reference of just in his mind.
Okay, so we're just going to do a wee, Scottish wee, wee meditation on Om Ahom. You know, because we've only got 10 minutes just to finish. So just getting into your meditation position. So mind can get busy quite easily, so I find it helpful just to sit with the sensation on the cushion for a few breaths, just to ground. But whatever helps you just to ground in the body, whether it's just watching the breath, tip of the nostrils, level of the abdomen, or if you want to do a couple of minutes of the 9-round breathing, I'll give you time to do that. Take a moment to connect with your intention for doing this practice. Is there something you can pull for the teaching today that you remember, just to inspire your intention? So holding that intention, now we move into the main body of the practice. So as we did at the beginning of the meditation today, or the first meditation today, imagine this small ball of light on the crown of your head, like the moon. And it slowly dissolves through your crown. And then it touches all the skin, the pores, the blood, the muscle, the bone. So your whole body starts to get really light. You know, that sense of heaviness disappears as that light touches all the different layers of your body, transforming into something more light and clear and translucent. A bit more like crystal light, crystal clear. But within that, we still have skin, but the skin's a bit like more the skin in a balloon, you know. So we've got the light skin on the outside, but it's all hollow and transparent inside the body. Now in our hollow body, inside the sort of brain area, we visualise or try to feel, imagine, whatever you can connect with more, whether it's imagining or visualising, this syllable Om, this white syllable. It's either OM or it's the Sanskrit syllable Om, whatever you're familiar with. Just around the space of your brain, OM sitting there. And just place it in our mind's eye, there in the brain. So we hold that there as we move down into the throat chakra, the level of the throat, and we have the red A, AH, or the Sanskrit syllable if you're familiar. And this red is a little bit like the beautiful red of a autumn sky, an evening sky or autumn sky. So it's got a kind of beauty to it when you look at the A in your throat. You see it appears. And the Om in our brain, brain area, is a little bit like full moon. Really beautiful white full moon. Having a peaceful energy. Then in the centre of our chest, our heart chakra, we just place firmly and clearly this Hum, H-U-M, or a blue syllable, or it can just be blue radiating light. A bit like a sort of deeper blue sky that's still very clear, but it's got this deeper blue colour to it. So these symbolise the purity of body, speech and mind. In its very pure aspect. Like we see in tankas or images of the Buddha, you know, it's like a pure body that's free of any kind of suffering, has lots of qualities. It's the power to purify our own body, actions of our body. So when we recite the Om, I'll do one time, then we do together. We imagine a white light coming from that and just cleansing and purifying our whole body. And purifying actions of our body that we've created to harm ourselves and others. And filling us up with a kind of lightness of body. An ability to make all our actions with our body pure and virtuous. It's the quality of the Om. So I'll do one time, or I'll do a few times together by visualising the showering white light filling the whole body. Om. Om. So we join in. Om. Now drop our mind, our awareness into the throat chakra, the red Ah, vibrating the sound of Ah, and also it looks like a beautiful, as I say, autumn sky, you know, that redness that we just want to gaze at as a beauty to it. And it embodies the kind of beauty of the speech of holy beings, you know, enlightened beings, who have a kind of soft speech, powerful speech, skillful speech. So it's awakening that quality within us when we chant Ah together. So again, I'll do one time and then you join in. And we visualise red light streaming through our whole body, purifying stains of our speech and awakening those positive qualities that are embodied in the Ah. 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 Then the hum, H-U-M, or the seed syllable hum, blue like a deeper blue sky, radiating in the heart chakra between the chest. Or we just feel blue radiant light, and it just spills over and fills our whole body with blue radiant light as we chant the hum, and feel like that lotus quality or Buddha nature has been opened up. Qualities of the wisdom of all the enlightened beings, all the holy masters. So it has this luminosity as well. Wisdom has a luminosity, but it's blue and luminous, filling our whole being, and just cleansing our, you know, our mistaken views, wrong action, cleansing any heaviness we feel in the body, in the heart, in the mind, and filling us up with blue radiant light. So I'll do hum once, and then we do together. Om. 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 Then we're going to do Om Ah Hung a few times together, just to finish. Om Ah Hung. 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 Take a look at your mind. Is there a feeling a bit more stillness or peacefulness due to the power of the quality, vibration, visualization of the mantras and syllables. And so we finish by just dedicating whatever we learned, whatever we discovered about ourselves or through this class. May we dedicate it not just for our own peace and happiness, but for universal peace and happiness, for the peace and happiness of every sentient being, whether they're friend, enemy, stranger. May we be able to share whatever treasure we discover in our own spiritual practice, may we be able to share that with others. Help others to develop that treasure in their heart and mind. Okay, thank you so much for coming. So I thought next week, if you would like, sorry, did you, anyway, I'll just mention next week, I'm sorry for those online, but if you'd like to stay and have tea or something, or we could go for a tea somewhere, if you've got time to visit, because it's our last class next week. So if you've got time, or we can go for a tea or something like that. We'll do something next week. We'll go for a, maybe here, or there's somewhere there.
I can bring something.
Oh, yeah. Okay, or we'll have tea here, yeah. Okay, great. Sorry, you had a question.
Yes, it's uncomfortable asking it, but
There's one more
the
question.
reason I don't use the mantra
Mm-hmm.
that much is because it takes work for me. I have a respiratory condition,
Oh,
and I have to deep breathe deeper and push hard.
yeah.
And I'm concentrating on that more than I'm trying to meditate.
Oh, yes, yeah.
So
Maybe you can
wondering
say it inside.
I do
Yeah,
inside.
yeah. Rather than reciting it. Even if you say it very quietly. Now, right now we were saying it loudly. But actually, just to clarify, when you're doing your own mantra recitation, you can say it quietly. You actually say it like a whisper. Om mani padme, om mani padme.
Oh, okay.
You don't have to go, oh, mani padme, oh, mani padme. You don't have to be saying it loudly. But when we're doing group practice and we recite a few together, you can chant more loudly. But when you're doing on your cushion sitting practice, mostly we do it quite quietly, you know. Om mani padme, om mani padme, om mani padme, om. Especially when you're in a group. You're supposed to do it so that it doesn't go beyond the noise. It's not supposed to go on the level of your shoulder so that the next person doesn't hear you, you know. So you actually say it quite quietly. But of course, for those of us, when we're in our house, we can chant mantra as loud as we want. But as a meditation practice, it's usually done just under the, you know, sort of quietly, you know, like whisper, almost like a whisper. So
Okay.
would that help?
Yes,
Yeah?
yes, it does.
Because you don't have to say it like so loudly, you know. You just need to be able to enunciate it so that you can hear, but nobody else is hearing. Also, you can just do in your inside, you know, yeah. You can also just mentally do it. That's another way to do mantras, mentally.
And it's okay, because that's what I usually
You
do.
can do. I mean, it's you know, when we do, there's certain mantra retreats and everything you can do, and you actually have to be able to enunciate it, you know, when you do mantra commitments and retreats. So I think to do mental all the time is not great. It is good to also train in doing this in a short, you know, mani padme hum, mani padme hum, like that, you know, so you can just yourself hear it. But there are different ways of doing it, yeah, that's two
But
different
I'm
ways.
wondering if other people have the same have the same problem,
Of
and that's why they're not.
Oh, possibly. I think sometimes, I don't know. I mean, certainly it takes a while to get your comfort level with it, you know, what was resonating with you.
And it's only with breathing and
Yeah, which I
working-
understand,
working
yeah.
hard at it.
Yeah. So I think if mentally works better for you, do that. But try just doing it really quietly.
Okay.
So, because you shouldn't have to be You know, when we chant, we have to use a lot of breath, but you shouldn't be using a lot of breath when you do it quietly, you know. And it might over time strengthen a little bit your breath as well, you know, through the power of the mantra. So just keep trying it out. These are all like testing the waters all the time. You have to keep testing the waters to see what really activates and makes you feel the quality of the mantra.
Thank you.
Any
Mary asked in
Mary,
chat,
yes.
is there a difference between hum and hung? H-U-N-G.
H-U-M and H-U-N-G. I have seen it done both ways, Mary. I think, you know, according to the Sanskrit, it would be more like H-U-N-G, but also the Tibetans often use H-U-M, you know. So I think it's between H-U-M and H-U-N-G. I think it's a very subtle sound between both of those. You know, so I've seen it done both ways. So again, you just kind of work with, and actually, usually how you would recite the mantra is the way that you receive the transmission from your Lama. So that's the actual way that you should recite it. So if you ever receive a transmission from a guru or a lama, how they recite it is actually how you're supposed to recite it. So sometimes the Tibetans might do, you know, depending on the lama, the teacher, because you're receiving a lung or like an oral transmission, that energetic transmission for the teacher, you know. So ideally you try and recite it the way your teacher does, but for now I've seen it done both ways, H-U-M and H-U-N-G. Does that help, Mary? Any other questions online? Okay. Well, thank you. Nice to see you all again. And we'll have our last class next week. A little bit more on purification next week, mantra purification. And please come with any other questions or things you want to know about, you know, before the class finishes. Anything that can help you with your meditation practice. And again, I'm still available by email. One of you has reached out to me, so if you have any questions, you're welcome to contact me by email if you don't want to ask them in class. Mary, did you have one more question?
Could you remind us of your email address?
Can you say that one more time, Mary? We have to put the volume up.
Could you remind us of your email address?
Yeah, we can put it in the chat.
I'll send it in the email.
Oh, we'll send it in the next email.
Great, thank you.
Okay, yeah. Anything else in the chat, or that was just...
I just wanted to make an announcement that Geshe Lexok will be starting on Friday at noontime. If anybody is like free, he's going to be giving a Chenrezig or Avalokiteshvara, the Buddha of Compassion teaching, and he's going to lead in the mantra. Yeah,
so he'll be doing that practice on Friday.
That's for the next 3 Fridays at noon. It's kind of like a lunchtime break. So if you're in town, getting shopping or whatever.
Yeah, that's a nice time to drop in. Yeah.
Get your money break in.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so next week we'll see if we can, whoever'd like to have a coffee or something after, we'll do that. Nice to see you again.
I haven't been before. Sorry.
Did you not come you didn't come